Okay. Thank you, Babuji, for reminding me.
Welcome, sir.
Uh, and welcome once again to the session. Anandji and Santoshji are outstation, so they will not be able to turn on the video as they have already informed. And that's okay. Anyway, so coming back to the point that we were discussing, the exercises that we are doing, that we have been doing, have taught us how to move our energy from one particular chakra level to a different chakra level with the breath. And the reason we wish to do this is because different chakra levels generate a certain kind of an emotion, a predominant emotion. Sometimes the emotions that are generated in these different chakras are almost like a background sound or a background emotion. There are no real peaks of emotion, as if you're feeling suddenly a certain kind of an emotion very strongly. May not be, but there is like a background whir, like a background sound, and a certain kind of an environment, a certain vibration is there in your body. Now, when this certain vibration is there in the body, the emotion generator, as I call it, the emotion generator is generating something. It starts impacting all your actions and your thoughts, feelings, choices, actions, etc. So now, after a few weeks of these practices, I hope you have been able to correlate some of these things through your experiences. So when you are going through life, when you're going through the events of life, someone says something, something happens, something triggers a certain emotion, a certain feeling, and so on. Have you noticed this? Santoshji, Anandji, Babuji, have you noticed this? I hope you can answer my questions, Anandji and Santoshji. Hmm? Have you disappeared or what?
No, sir. We are yes, yes. We were doing exercise, so we lost.
Okay, okay,
But
okay,
we
okay,
heard your question. Yes, of course.
okay. Yeah,
We do see some experiences. Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
when you are going through your normal life, you may have noticed that certain things are triggering a certain emotion or a certain reaction from you.
Okay. Hello.
Have you also noticed a certain emotion generation going on in the background? Have you become aware of that?
Just have become aware that there could be a different thing, instead of me being a kind of an auto response to a situation, I am at least aware that this is given by the my emotional generator.
Okay, very good. So now when this awareness is there and you are going through, whatever you're doing in the daytime, and a certain emotion is triggered or a certain reaction is triggered, have you consciously been able to use your breath to move away from a certain reaction, from a certain response?
So far, I have not done. So far, I was
You've
not able
not
to.
done that. So now you need to start doing this,
Yeah.
because you've already, this is already midway into the program. You have an idea how to move your breath. You've been doing it. I think you've been able to circulate your breath and energy fairly well. Now you also have a logical understanding of why you are responding in a certain way, why a certain kind of an emotional trigger is working inside you. See, sometimes these emotional triggers are very strong. We can respond a little, what is the term? Uh, what is the term? Unproportionately, there is a proportionate response. Something happens, you give a proportionate response, fine, and that makes sense. But sometimes our responses are disproportionate. They're not proportionate, right? Someone says something and we just suddenly might become very upset, triggered, angry, or whatever. There are so many negative emotions. Have you noticed this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this awareness has come to all of you. Very good, excellent. So far, have you been able to stop yourself from reacting or responding in a way that you would have probably done earlier? So something is suddenly making you angry, but then you stop, continue with your breath, and don't allow that reaction to happen. Anandji, Santoshji,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At times, yeah.
you have. Okay, that's excellent. Wonderful. Okay, Santoshji, what about you?
I have tried many times, but not that successful. In the
Hmm,
sense,
hmm,
first thing is it overtakes me, and later I realize that it is all over now. I have,
hmm, hmm,
reacted.
okay.
And second thing is I have
Hmm,
tried changing my breath also,
hmm,
but I don't know what kind of a rhythm I should
hmm.
fall into. So that has also not been successful so far.
Okay. So the rhythm for now, basically what you are doing in your exercises, like whatever you're doing just now, you're moving your breath in a certain way. Just move your breath in that way. And you will be maybe not one breath, maybe 4 or 5 breaths, and you'll be able to at least stop yourself from responding the way you would have done otherwise. Now, what is the advantage? Remember what we discussed earlier. Two things make up, or the stuff of life comprises two things: time and energy. Make sense to you?
Right.
Time and energy. How you use this time and energy ultimately decides the quality of your life or your fate or your destiny. That's all there is to it. Every single time you use your time and energy in a certain way, you are essentially writing your destiny. Are you clear about this? Are you
Yes,
intellectually
sir.
clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
So your yeah, so
Yes,
your
sir.
destiny is not being written by somebody sitting in the sky on a golden throne or someone or something else. No, you are the architect, you are the writer of your destiny. Unfortunately, so far, your destiny was written by you without your awareness that you were writing your destiny, because you were doing things unconsciously. You were doing things without awareness. So you were not aware that you were writing your destiny in a certain way. And then you would blame God or others or whatever, as everyone does. Even I did that once upon a time. Right? Make sense, Babuji? Make sense? Okay, very good. So now that you become aware of the power of your time and energy. Now, when you use time and energy together, it becomes a thing called attention. When time and energy are used together, so in a sense they are converged, they become a thing called attention. Naturally, you will notice when you are giving someone or something attention, you are using both time and energy. Anandji, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Hmm? So
Yes.
now understand the power of this attention. In many ways, it is the single most important thing as far as the as far as life is concerned. In attention, the thing that is made up of life is brought together and concentrated in a very small point, and this point is now, in the present moment. You cannot give attention to something yesterday. You cannot give attention to something tomorrow. You can give attention to something now. You may think about yesterday. That is another matter. That means your attention is on something that happened before, right? You may give attention to something that may happen tomorrow, but that means that you are thinking about a future event. It doesn't mean that you are able to do it then. Whatever you are able to do, you are only able to do in the present moment. Am I clear, or is this confusing? Okay, Babuji says clear. Anandji, Santoshji, is
Yes,
that
sir.
clear to you?
Very true. Yeah. It's all being in the moment.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's the moment. And in the moment, it's the power of your attention, which is like your destiny, which is like the pen which writes your destiny. So now understand, time, energy now come together to a thing called attention in the present moment. And whatever you are, it's like a pen in your hand. Whatever, wherever you are taking this attention, you are writing your destiny. So every time you allow your present reaction to be something that detracts you, distracts you, takes you away from your major goal in life, major purpose in life, that means you've not been able to use that effectively. The attention has gone somewhere. It has yielded a different return or a result. But if your attention stayed focused on exactly those things that are important to you, then you would have gone towards fulfillment, number one, and number two, towards your highest potential. This is what the game, this is what the role or the purpose of this particular program is. When we raise vibrations, so that we don't stay at the lowest chakras where we are, worried, for example, about survival, or worried, say, about issues connected with procreation or pleasure or sex and things like that, or power over somebody else. No, we keep raising ourselves. It doesn't mean that we will not have any of these anytime. Yes, we will. But when we have them, we bring our focus, we bring our attention to the present moment, use the power of our breath and energy, circulate it in such a way that the outcome becomes closer to what we want to do with our life. If our present actions become those that are leading us away from whatever we wish to do in life, we are ultimately ending up creating a more difficult situation for ourselves. We are going further away from our path. The farther and farther away we go from our path, the more and more difficult it becomes to come back on the path. So most people may not even have an awareness of their path. So for now, make it simple for yourself. Make it very clear that wherever this path goes, for the present moment, I just want to make sure that I do not create any negative situations for myself or anyone around me. Because every negative situation is actually a certain kind of a energy. If I am going to hurt you in some way, Santoshji or Anandji or Babuji, in some way you will want to hurt me back. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Because this is the way the emotions work. And remember what we have spoken about: emotion, mind, and ego. The mind is impacted by our emotions and the ego. In fact, for the most part, our mind is under the control of the ego, for the most part. But through awareness, through practices, through certain things that we do, if we are able to break this connection, so if the mind is less affected by emotions, if the mind is not so deeply controlled by the ego, then slowly something else begins to take control of our lives and the energy, time and energy. So what is this other thing? It is your higher self. And this higher self is the thing that is what we are moving towards. As we raise our vibration, as we work our breath upwards, this is what we are going towards the higher self. Remember what we have discussed earlier. Along the spine, there are only two directions, down and up. Two directions, that's all. If you take your energy down, that means now your Chetana, your consciousness, your awareness, your responses are connected with a lower level of consciousness. If you are stuck in the lower level of consciousness, your energy will be used in those areas. You will create situations that will involve you in those areas. So, for example, if I generate a lot of sexual energy inside me, and I do that also, by the way, in my ED reversal program, but I don't let it lie there. I move it up. So supposing I generate a lot of sexual energy in my system, or let's say sexual energy is generated in my system. Now what will happen? Where do my thoughts go? My thoughts will go towards satisfying that desire, or the desire that is created by that energy. What is the desire created by that energy? The desire created by that energy is the desire for sex or pleasure, company of the opposite sex, coitus, and so on, things related to that, lust. If I involve myself in those things, if I let my energy and my time go in those areas, then there are only two ways of doing it. There are only two ways of doing it, which means basically either I create an environment where I'm accepted for that action. If I'm accepted for that action, naturally there are consequences. Whoever is accepting me for that action during that time will have certain expectations from me. I will have to satisfy those expectations. If I do not satisfy those expectations of whoever they are, then there is a certain process that I'll have to go through, because they are going to try to extract those expectations. So as long as I'm in a marital situation and I'm involved only with my partner or my wife or whatever, I'm in a relatively safer zone, because all this has been already done, understood, accepted, and you know handled in a decent way. But what happens is when this energy rises, we are usually not content with our partner. We want something more. We go towards porn, we go towards other women, or whatever. We can get attracted and so on. And then as we take one action, it leads to a second action, to a third action, to a fourth action. And then the spiral starts. It starts pulling us down. The spiral pulls us down. If it is pulling us down, where is our negative energy? Where is our energy going? It's going down the spine. Now, all kinds of drama connected with that will start. And there are many kinds of drama. So, on the other hand, when that energy rises in me, even that sexual energy rises in me, and I'm able to use the power of breath and circulate my energy, raise that energy, what I can do is I can move that energy in a way that it becomes a creative force in me. Remember, sexual energy is the most creative energy in the human being. It creates life. Sexual energy and whatever is included in that is responsible for creation of life. That's a very powerful thing. And if you know how to conserve that energy and channel that energy up your spine, you will be able to conserve much of that energy and use it in ways that will fulfill you much more, because now you are becoming at least more in control of both your time and energy. That is the stuff of life. This is the stuff of life, time and energy. And now when, see, when the strong emotion or the strong energy rises inside you and you don't allow it to play havoc with your system, you can raise it higher. So this is just to give an example because it's a very powerful example. You know, sexual energy or anything to do with sex is a very powerful thing. So it has a bigger impact. It brings more clarity to people. So now the same thing is happening, for example, when you are responding, let's say, to something that is making you angry. Someone says, someone does something, and because of your past connection with something like that, it triggers you. They use the word trigger nowadays, like a gun, it triggers you. What does a trigger do? It makes you suddenly respond. Suddenly you're angry, suddenly you're upset, suddenly you become, what is the word they use? You hyperventilate, start shouting or whatever. And we see it all around, all the time. We see it in restaurants, we see it in public places, and so on and so forth. Every time we do this, we are wasting our major resources in life. Number one. Number two, we are getting ourselves embroiled sometimes in situations that can actually trap us very badly. Now, supposing I did this shouting or this hyperventilation with someone who can cause me more or direct harm in some way, can cause me more or direct harm, either legally or through other means, and so on. Now, supposing that happens, now see where my energy starts getting directed. All my resources will go towards protecting myself, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a very, very unfortunate game for me. So the best thing is avoid a situation like that. Wisdom says avoid that and save myself so much other unnecessary troubles. Keep working towards my goal. Keep working towards my highest potential. Keep working towards my becoming more and more joyful, more and more relaxed, more and more calm. That's all there is to it. It's so simple. And this is what the Raise Your Vibrations program is trying to achieve simply with the power of the breath. Okay, are you clear? Are you all clear? Santoshji, Anandji, Babuji. Very good. So now use this clarity to help you come out of sticky situations. Sticky situations means when you are about to respond or react in ways that will ultimately pull down your energy, trap you in an unfortunate situation, create negative karma, things like that. Very good. Any questions?
But all this it is triggered from the unconscious mind, right?
Yes, Santoshji. It is happening from a level or from a place of unconsciousness. So therefore, you have to keep increasing your consciousness. You have to keep increasing your awareness. If you're not even aware of what is going on inside you, how will you become aware of what is going to happen in the future? How will you become aware that you have ways to create a better future? So naturally, it begins with self-awareness. And where are we focusing? We are focusing on simply the emotion generator. Become aware of that emotion generator. The moment we become aware that there is this emotion generator that is working inside me, first thing is I can start using my breath to change that somewhat, to move it away from that particular emotion generator, so that now the emotion generation that happens is a different level, is a different frequency of generation. So instead of thinking worrisome thoughts, for example, earlier that I may have been thinking, now maybe I'm thinking of something less worrisome, or my thoughts are being used or feelings are being generated in a number of other areas, but at least not predominantly worrisome. So there has been a little change. Yes, Anandji, you raised your hand. Go on. Anandji?
Sir,
Yes.
it must have been Babu Sahib.
And there is a bit of an echo.
No, sir, nothing. No, sir, nothing.
Nothing? Okay. Oh, sorry. No, it wasn't your hand. I'm sorry.
Yes.
My cursor was on that. Sorry. Very good. So, Babuji, Anandji, Santoshji, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No follow-up question?
So the idea is as I have understood whatever you have said, we need to transmutate the breath now.
Yeah. So you use your breath to transmute your energy.
Right.
So the see, energy, if you like electrical energy in the house, if you channel energy to the bulbs, to the lights, they will generate or they will create light in the room. If you channel that energy to the fan, it will cause the rotation of the fan and create cool air in the room. So similarly, in your system, if your energy is going to a particular chakra, a certain instrument is working. You can think of it this way.
Oh.
That energy goes, if that, sorry. If that energy goes to a different chakra, a different kind of instrument starts working. Very simple. Are we clear?
Correct. Right.
Excellent. So I will turn off this recording for now and continue with our. Yes.